Okay, so let's check. Now, question number 30, if I'm not wrong. Yes, okay. So that's already 5 marks for question 29. Now, again, you see, we have got lots of information here. Okay, in section B, in fact, in all science papers, this extra information is for you to read carefully and to digest. All right, sometimes it helps to scope your answers so that you are actually directed in the correct path of how to answer. Okay, they are not meant for fun. Okay, nobody wants to spend money, okay, printing a lot of all these unnecessary things if it's not necessary, because printing diagrams, all this, it requires money, ink. Okay, exam papers are expensive, so actually they require money to print the diagrams and all that. Okay, and something about information, if you are actually highlighting something, okay, maybe it will be wise not to use black pen. Okay, if you're highlighting something, maybe not, or drawings additional things. Because why do I say not wise to use black pen? Because after you have written something additional, not originally there, but you have written something extra, and it's also in black, you might be confused. Is this originally there, or is this what I wrote in? Especially when you are checking your answers. So maybe if you want to do additional notation or all that, maybe you can use blue pen so that you know, oh, this is extra that you put in, and this extra that you put in actually is your interpretation of the question. It's not in the question. So whatever is in the question is in black. Okay, so Grace set up the apparatus below to investigate how the mass of the object in the card affects the distance d. This is a aim statement. How the mass of the card affects the distance d traveled by the card when it hit the floor at B and stopped at C. In other words, the card actually was released from here. So when the card was released from here, it hits the floor at B and then it moved, okay, and stopped at C. So they wanted to find out, is there a relationship between the mass of the object in the card? The card, of course, has got a constant mass. So how much more you put in will actually affect the mass of the card. Okay, so the mass of the card is actually affected by the amount or the mass of the object you put in the card. So that's the aim, whether the mass of the object in the card actually affects the distance moved by the card on the floor, and it's the distance d. So Grace repeated the experiment using objects of different masses or masses placed inside the card. The results of her experiment are shown in the table. Okay, so this is the result that she obtained. So you can see here, mass of the object actually changes from 50 to 100 to 150. Okay, distance 10, 16, 22. So you can see very clearly there is a pattern here. Okay, so if I ask you what's the pattern that is observed from the data, well, the obvious pattern would be the more the mass of the object in the card, the further the distance traveled by the object, the card, in the form of distance d. See? 50 is 10, 100 grams is 16 cm, 150 is 22 cm. So that's the relationship. And of course, you cannot actually just have one data. In order to actually come up with a pattern, you need to have more than one data, of course. Okay, but part A, they're not asking about pattern. They're asking for something else. They ask you what's the energy conversion. So similar to question 29, energy conversion. As the card move from A to C. So from A to C, what's the energy conversion? So A, what's A? A is at this height here. And you know, in terms of energy, right? So this will be gravitational potential energy converted to three things at the same time. Okay, of course, it's moving down. Okay? So kinetic energy, and then again sound energy, and again there's heat energy. So quite similar to question 29. Okay, so this one is using gravity. So Grace actually let the card get down or drop from this side to this side. So gravitational to kinetic plus sound plus heat. So arrow means converted to, plus means whatever energy is converted to at the same time. Okay, at the same time. So kinetic energy plus sound energy plus heat energy at the same time. So let's check our answers. Yes. So gravitational potential energy change to kinetic energy plus sound plus heat energy. So quite similar to question 29A just now. Let's continue. Ray set up the apparatus below to investigate how the mass of the object in the cart affects the distance d traveled by the cart when it hit the floor at P stop at C. Okay, so this is just repeating. Grace repeated experiment using objects of different masses placed inside. Okay, this is just repeating. State and explain how the mass are. So here is actually what they ask about the pattern statement. So how does the mass affect the distance? So whatever words they use, you use the same words. So what is the pattern statement that affects, actually relates mass of the object and the distance? So obviously, the higher or the greater the mass of the object in the cart, the further the distance the cart move as given by distance d. Okay, so that's the pattern statement. So that one is your pattern statement. So it's now 3 marks. This one again 5 marks. Okay. So as the mass of the object increases, the distance the cart moves increases. Or as the mass of the object increases, the object possesses. So this is the explanation. Okay, so this is the pattern statement. Now you have to explain. So here you have to state and you have to explain. So the statement is this. The pattern statement is here. As the mass of the object increases, the distance the cart moves also increases. The explanation part, see, explanation part, that's 1 mark. This is quite a lot of explanation for 1 mark. The pattern part, 1 mark. Okay, the second part is the explanation, and you have to explain. If you just give the pattern statement, you get only 1 mark because you have to explain also. So this is the explanation part. The mass of the object increases, the object possesses more gravitational potential energy. Okay, because gravitational potential energy depends on 2 things. The height at which an object is placed, height above the ground, and the mass of the object. So height is here, and the height is actually the same. So since the height is the same, that means the height will not affect the gravitational potential energy. The mass will affect. So this is the explanation. As the mass of the object increases, the object possesses more gravitational potential energy, which will be converted to more kinetic energy, causing it to travel a greater speed and a greater distance. Yeah. Okay. So the more mass means more gravitational potential energy, and as it comes down, the more kinetic energy means the more the distance traveled. So that's the explanation part. So 1 mark here for the pattern statement and 1 mark here for the explanation. Okay, so this is what I mean. You need to be very clear what they want. They want you to state the pattern and they want you to explain. So stating the pattern, 1 mark only. You must also explain, and the explanation is like that. So the more mass means more gravitational potential energy, and with more gravitational potential energy, more kinetic energy is produced, and more kinetic energy causes the cart to move further. Okay, so this is question 30.